You're listening to the Tony and Josh Show.
Well, good evening. So, Tony and Josh Show, episode 59. This is the pre-show. And we get started around 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Central Time. It is 9:47 currently. So, waiting for Josh to call in so we can discuss the show and then get started.
You're listening to the Tony and Josh Show.
So just a reminder, after the regular show tonight, which is about 30 minutes long, Josh and I will be talking about the latest episode of The Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 10. And you know what? I probably need to figure out what the name of that episode was. remembered it, but I have since forgotten it. I mean, I read it, but I've since forgotten it. Disremembered. May have done that on purpose. Man, these first 2 episodes have been slow. Gotta say, Andrew Lincoln's beard is looking very Bigfootish. Well, it appears Josh is late tonight. Well, I wouldn't say that we would normally be started by now, but we would normally be chatting about the pre-show, chatting about the show and the pre-show. Uh-oh, I see Josh activity in the show notes. So he should be here shortly. He is online. And he is calling. I've been giving our vast audience a play-by-play. In as much as...
I'm not doing so hot tonight. I came down with something between lunchtime and the time I got home.
My goodness.
It's hit me like a ton of bricks. I can barely even swallow right now.
Want to forego the show and do Walking Dead or none of the above?
Man, I'm not even prepared for Walking Dead tonight either, so I've got nothing tonight, Tony, other than what's in the show notes.
Okay. Did you want to try to do the main show then?
Yeah, we gotta, maybe do it pretty quick though. And God, my voice sounds like shit.
If you need to go get in bed, go get in bed.
That's where I just came from, actually. I'd like to try and maybe save my voice for tomorrow or something. But I'm not feeling it tonight, man.
Okay.
It's all the same to you. I'm gonna get out of here and go back to bed, and I'll be back in for tomorrow night's show.
Okay.
All right.
See you later.
Warning. The opinions, ideas, views, emotions, and temper tantrums expressed or otherwise conveyed on the Tony and Josh show may not and most likely is not suitable for all audiences and therefore should not be heard by anyone unless supervised by an appropriate nanny state. Enjoy!
Welcome to the Tony and Josh Show. Tony and Josh are the functionally illiterates of the podcasting world. Now, here they are, Tony and Josh.
Yes. Well, it's Tony anyway. Josh called in about 3 or 4 minutes after the stated showtime start and did not look like a happy boy. He was not feeling well at all. So we've given him the night off, and it's going to be just me, just like the old days on the first podcast that I used to do. So we'll probably be flying through this show, since there won't be much back and forth, as the voices in my head have also taken the night off. Didn't know how to mic those guys up anyway. So we'll get to the stories here in a second. But first, I want to let you know this is episode 59, and if you're new to the Tony and Josh show, well, first, there's usually two people here, but we're here to inform, entertain, and give you a laugh or two. We've searched the interwebs and found these earth-shaking stories to bring you tonight. So we have dinner and a show. What could be better on date night? One Florida couple gets more than they bargained for, answering that very question. President Reagan and his aides. Yes, you heard it correctly. A crash on icy road is predictable. The vehicle involved in the crash is one you'll never guess. And, my gosh, the Obama administration's added again the BATFE to ban common AR-15 ammo. I think I'm going to be fighting clearing my throat tonight. Usually not a problem while Josh is talking. I can clear it 3 or 4 times. So first off, we'd like to tell you guys that you can call in and leave us some messages via SpeakPipe. It's like a voicemail, except you use your computer or smartphone or iPhone or whatever you got there that isn't a telephone to leave your message. So you can just go to the TonyandJoshShow.com website. Look over there on the right-hand side. You'll see a little bar that you can click. I believe it says SpeakPipe. Well, actually, it says Send Voicemail. You click that, and it will prompt you to record your message. And you can do so as many times as you like. Just, if you're worried about messing up, don't worry about messing up. We'll take the last one and we'll use that one on the show. And, we pretty much always use the ones we get on the show. I guess there's a point in time we could get so many that we'd have to pick and choose, but right now it's almost a certain guarantee. So let's get with get onto the stories here. We've all heard of fried bologna sandwiches, but what happens when you put it on ice? Ew. Well, I guess a cold bologna sandwich is kind of normal, isn't it? I don't know about having ice with it. My bologna has a first name, and it's OSCAR. My bologna has a second name, and it crashes into a pole with a car. That's right, people. One of the most iconic Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles has crashed into a pole in central Pennsylvania earlier this week. Officials say that the giant hot dog on wheels slid off the road and slammed into a pole on Sunday in Enola. I guess I'm saying that right. Here near Harrisburg. Despite reports of Wiener slamming into the pole, there were no injuries reported. I'm sorry. I remember seeing this image on social media during this week, and it didn't look like it was that badly damaged. The front of the 27-foot long Wienermobile was of course damaged, and the crash snarled local traffic. Well, I bet it did. I'm surprised we haven't seen videos yet. If there's ever a crash to rubberneck on, it's a Wienermobile hugging a pole. Oscar Mayer has several Wienermobiles. I didn't know that. Used to promote the advertised product across the country. So let this be a lesson to all of you out there that if you're going to take your wiener out in the snow and ice, put some chains on it. That was, if you didn't, if you've listened to this show very much, that was a Josh story because it had to do with, that part of the anatomy, at least the word did anyway. So, this one this one's not so funny to me. I was a little upset to read this. Apparently, the BATFE wants to ban common AR-15 ammo in a move clearly intended by the Obama administration to suppress the acquisition, ownership, and use of AR-15s and other .223 caliber general purpose rifles. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and Explosives, unexpectedly announced today that it intends to ban commonplace M855 ball ammunition as armor-piercing ammunition. The decision continues Obama's use of his executive authority to impose gun control restrictions and bypass Congress. It isn't even the third week of February, and the BATFE has already taken 3 major executive actions on gun control. First, it was the major change to what activities constitute regulating manufacture of firearms. Next, the BATFE reversed a less than a year-old position on firing shouldered pistols. Now, the BATFE has released a framework for determining whether certain projectiles are primarily intended for sporting purposes within the meaning of the 18 U.S.C. 921A 17C, which could eliminate the M855's exemption to the armor-piercing ammunition prohibition and make future exemptions nearly impossible. So I just want to say, in this day and age, when ISIS or ISIL or whatever you want to call them is taking more ground, and this administration is not doing seemingly a damn thing about it, also not having a plan, certainly not making the enemy feel like it has any kind of we have any kind of plan. The thing to do here apparently is to ban ammo. So if there is a real need for the people in the United States to ever be in a position to defend themselves, this would be the time. And our president is trying to ban ammunition because guns are bad. Now, I have to, any of you have to think there's got to be something more important to worry about right now than gun control. And this is obviously a backhanded way of trying to control a population of legal gun owners from being able to defend themselves. Oh, and of course, put any kind of offense up in case that's an issue. People, I think you really need to be concerned about this president and his use of his executive pen whenever it's doing things to hurt you. Now, the first thing that he did, or the first big thing he did that hurt us was the Obamacare. And when 70% of the people don't want something and the government does it anyway, two things. They think they know better than you, or they don't care. And that's the same thing we're seeing here. So I wholeheartedly recommend that you contact your representative, congressman, and let them know you want to be better represented by them in Washington, and do not want this to pass. Do not want this to occur. I think it needs to go completely the other way. Personally, I think that the federal government should be selling us old ammo that the military is swapping out, or even giving us coupons to get discounts. A well-armed public would be a great deterrent to anybody that might want to come over here and do us harm. So this one I thought was kind of interesting. Another Josh story. Florida woman entertains a couple at an intersection. Amy Carter, a 31-year-old Floridian woman, likes to give a special kind of show to those in traffic. And hey, who could blame her motives, right? Traffic sucks. So a little entertainment while I sit in first gear pumping a clutch bumper to bumper traffic would be great. The authorities have a different outlook on this intersection entertainment. This glorious gal of gridlock, this provider of pavement pleasures, this musician of mass movement, it's probably something have to do with the fact that this musician wasn't playing an instrument per se. Hell, I don't even think she was playing with a full deck of cards. But she was playing with something. Sunday night, Amy allegedly walked into a typical busy intersection, stopped traffic, and proceeded to masturbate in front of a couple's car. Hey, dinner and a show. She then climaxed on the, getting ahead of myself. She then climbed onto the hood of the couple's car to finish her act. However, once upon the Lexus hood, it appears she may have realized that this wasn't the stage she thought it was. So she did what any intersection masturbating naked woman would do. You violently stomp on the car's hood and then take one and only possession, other than your birthday suit you have at the time, and your cell phone, and chuck it at the car behind the one you're doing naked tap dance routine. It makes perfect sense, right? I don't see the problem here. I mean, amongst us, who amongst us would do anything different? The cops say she was heavy on drugs. Wow, you think so? When they rolled to the scene at the intersection of Fairview Shores on the outskirts of Orlando about 11:55 p.m. Florida, you got to wonder how old this lady was. She's 31. So she might be way up in the age years. Amy by then had switched her ground game and was found walking through the street, still with no clothes on, obviously under the influence of heavy unknown substance. And then, in an altered mental state, according to the police report. Now, what do you think happened when the fuzz came to bust Miss Plays in traffic and ruined her debut show? That's right. There was no coming peacefully at that point. Carter allegedly put up a hell of a fight, kicking her legs wildly in the air before she was finally detained. I bet that's not the first time she's had her legs in the air. She was, of course, arrested, and not before she was hauled off to a hospital for blood screen and some detox. She was later charged with criminal mischief and exposed for exposing her sexual organs. She caused $1,500 in damage to the Lexus that she stomped on, and the owner, she says it was worth every penny. He's just glad the dash cam didn't get damaged, and no, you sick, twisted freak, the Tony and Josh Show does not have that footage on our website. But if you shoot me an email, I'll be happy to send you a copy. Oh boy, Josh finds some great stories. So you guys, if you're old enough, you may remember back in the 80s, President Reagan and AIDS were at the forefront of the news almost on a daily basis. President Reagan, because he was president, and AIDS because it was a unknown disease that was, making people very sick and then killing them. There was a lot of worry and hysteria over what that possibly could be. And I think it's pretty much under control now, but and we have a good idea what it is. But I remember on more than one occasion it being such at the forefront of my mind, my thought process, that I would hear a news story start out with President Reagan and his AIDS, and I was like, oh no, good Lord, how did Reagan get AIDS? And of course, they were talking about the people that help President Reagan, not the disease. But it was pretty funny. I would get a chuckle because just for that one half a second, I would think, oh my God, no. But it wasn't that at all. Well, would you believe that AIDS could actually be good news? Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania were looking for a way to stop a tumor cell growth or actively kill the tumor cells. They had several patients, adults with chronic lymphomic leukemia, and kids with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Oh, almost hurt myself. These patients had failed all previous standard chemotherapy treatments and would have probably died in less than a month. Researchers at Penn had developed a technique to modify the patient's own T cells to turn them into what is called serial killers. Oh, nice. These serial killer T cells could each kill approximately 1,000 tumor cells, and that had had the CD19 antigen on them. Don't know. Just reading it. This antigen is found on the malignant lymphocytes in the leukemia patients. To produce serial killers, the T cells, researchers needed to modify the patient's own T cells by genetically engineering them to produce an antibody-like protein. Didn't we see this in The Fly? Yeah, anyway. The HIV's naturally seeks out T cells and then binds to them, then injects its own genetic material, functionally taking over the cell, forcing it to produce millions of copies of HIV before the cell dies. The researchers modified the HIV so it could no longer cause the infected cells to produce HIV, but it was programmed to cause them to produce the protein that would make them highly specific serial killers. The researchers removed T cells from each patient, cultured them, added the specifically programmed HIV. They let the HIV inject and modify the cells, removed and infused them into the patients. The results? The modified T cells were very effective. In one case, the modified T cells destroyed an estimated 2 pounds of a tumor. 12 patients participated in this small trial, 10 adults and 2 children. 9 patients responded, and all are still alive, some after almost 3 years. They show no evidence of any remaining leukemia cells and are generally doing well. The research received an additional grant funding and is continuing. The possibility exists that using the modified HIV, other tumor antigens can be successfully targeted and similarly destroyed. So, we may actually be looking at a cure for cancer here, and the beautiful part of this is it's us getting smart enough to make use of the body's own defense system. So this isn't a situation where somebody goes out into a lab and generates something that they inject into you, and then, it works. They take your own body, make it aware of the cancer cells, inject it back into the body, and then it goes to work and takes care of the problems itself. So in other words, it's kind of manually informing your immune system of what it should be looking for. So this is great. I mean, there's always unintended consequences, but at least whenever you're doing things using the body's own mechanics, its own immune system to do the dirty work, I think you're in a lot better shape than you probably would be otherwise. So we'll have to wait and see. It's been a long road, and I'm frankly, I'm just happy to see that those kids that were facing certain death are now able to continue living. And my gosh, this isn't something that just happened. This is something that happened 3 years ago. So for it to be successful, not only at the time of the use, but 3 years later, in other words, the folks are still alive, it's great news. Really, really great news. All right, guys. Well, that's a nice, short, tight show for this week, but I warned you that without Josh being here for us to chatter it up and laugh and come up with some off-the-wall humor, it was going to be kind of short. It might be good. It might be good for it to be short. Hopefully you enjoyed the stories. Sure hope Josh starts feeling better and can come back to the show very, very soon. And we'd like to hear from you. I'd like for you to come back to the show every week and let us know what you think of the show, what you think of the stories. And you can do that over at SpeakPipe. Just go to TonyandJosh.com. You'll see a little sidebar there that on the right-hand side that says send voicemail. And then you can go over there and click on that, and then you'll just follow the instructions about how to leave your message. You'll use the mic on your laptop, your PC, your speakerphone, your smartphone or iPad, and or any Android device. It doesn't have to be an iPad. I think everybody recognizes an iPad as a tablet, so you can use one of those devices. You just need a mic and something to say. Love to hear from you. Love to play your comments, questions on the show. So until next week, this is Tony, and think good thoughts for Josh. And if you want to, send him some messages there on the Twitter, which we're on at Tony and Josh Show, and you can use the hashtag that you kids do on the Twitter. That's hashtag Tony and Josh Show. Kind of see a theme here. You might want to go over to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tony and Josh. Is it Tony and Josh or Tony and Josh Show? I can't remember. Well, let me look. Yep, this Tony and Josh. I wish we had been consistent on that. Anyway, you guys have a great night, and we will see you next week. Hopefully, we both will see you next week. Have a great night. Okie dokie. So that was about 20 minutes. So I don't know. I guess that was pretty close to the 30-minute show. Boy, I did not have time to take a drink. Just got a little tea here. And over here and see, I had asked somebody if they might want to jump in and talk about The Walking Dead with me, and I do not see a response. So I think probably what I'm going to do is see if Josh doesn't have an opportunity to feel better, or perhaps even try to record the Walking Dead little chat at a later date, before Sunday, and see if we can't get that out. I hate missing that because it's a very popular segment, little bonus segment that we do, while the Walking Dead is actually on the air. And they just came back too, so only two episodes in to the show. So I am going to go ahead and say goodnight, and thank you if you came to visit us with the live show. Again, sorry Josh wasn't able to make it. He's sick. Looks like he's got a pretty bad cold. He said that he started feeling bad around noon today, and it just got worse and worse. So, boy, I hate it when stuff like that comes on that fast. You get little or no warning, and unfortunately, we didn't have time to get a replacement co-host in time for the show. So, did try, but when you find out right at showtime, it does make it very tough, and I can imagine the panic on somebody that has did not think they were going to be doing a podcast that gets a call and say, "Hey, you want to be on a podcast? When? Well, now." So, anyway, everybody have a great night, and we'll certainly see you for next week. And you may even see us sooner when we record the Walking Dead bonus segment.